Hey guys, what's up? It's Kevin for the win. We're back for another edition of Diablo 3. Today, we're taking a look at the Season 27 starter set armor for the Barbarian class, that being the Wrath of the Waste armor. Really good build for the Barbarian, one of the strongest armors. Here we go. 2-piece bonus, increase the damage per second of Rend by 500% and its duration to 15 seconds. 4-piece bonus during Whirlwind, and for 3 seconds after, you gain 50% damage reduction and your applied Rends deal triple damage. 6-piece Whirlwind gains the effect of Dust, Devil Ruins, and Whirlwind and Rend damage is increased by 10,000%. Alright, so we're mostly going to be using a full set of Wrath of the Waste, but as you can see, the belt and the pants, we are going to be using Captain Crimson. 6,000 life per second, reduce cooldown of all skills by 20%, reduce also resource cost by 20%. 3-piece bonus, damage dealt increased by your cooldown reduction, damage reduced based on your amount of resource cost reduction. Okay. Moving along, we're going to be using the Compass Rose with the Traveler's Pledge. This is very good for this build. 2-piece bonus, while moving, damage take is reduced up to 50%. While standing still, damage dealt is increased by 100%. Mortrix Brace, that way we can get all the runes of Wrath of the Berserker. We're going to be using Skull Grasp here. Very important, you must run this ring. What it basically does is it increases the amount of damage of Whirlwind. For the weapons, we want the Bull Kaflos weapons. Very, very important. You must run these with this build. 15 Fury Generation. During Whirlwind, you gain 45% increased attack speed and movement speed. Please, guys, run this. If you don't run this, it's not going to work. Alright, so that is pretty much all there is to the actual pieces of gear that you need. For the skills, Wrath of the Berserker, Insanity, Rend. Mutilate is the way you want to go. Threatening Shout, Falter. We also want to run Battle Rage, Bloodshed. Ignore the Pain, Ironhide. Whirlwind, Blood Funnel is the rune you want to go with here. For the passives, we're going to get into them right now. Berserker Rage, Ruthless, Weapons Master, and Rampage. Vulcanized Cube, Ambush Pride, you must run this. Mantle of Channeling, and the Ring of Royal Grandeur. Do not deviate from these cube powers. If you do, it's not going to work out for you in this build very well. This is what my Paragon looks like. Obviously, if you're playing a seasonal character, you're not going to have this high access to this many points, because as you can see here, I am Paragon 1,468. So obviously I know what I'm talking about with Diablo 3. For the followers in the home, Broken Crown necklace should be Flavor of Time, and basically for the braces, Nemesis Bracers, everything else that you have here is nice to have, but it's really important to have Broken Crown, Flavor of Time, Nemesis Bracers. Those 3 skills in particular, the emanate skills I'm talking about, will give you 3 additional skills to your class, which is going to be very, very important, in particular Flavor Time and the Nemesis Bracers. Broken Crown's more of a passive type of ability that it's nice to have it, but doesn't always come in handy. For the purpose of this showcase, I'm going to show you a Greater of 60 and a Greater of 80. That way I can show you how this armor performs on Torment 13 difficulty, as well as Torment 16 plus difficulty. Keep in mind, results for you will definitely vary based on the amount of Paragon and optimization and the pieces of gear that you have. So please, guys, do not stress this enough. Make sure you follow my build to the T if you want similar results. Alright, so when we get into the Grey Rift, first thing we want to do is cast our Wrath of the Berserker. We get all the ruins. Then we're going to hold in Whirlwind, and Whirlwind all the way through, killing enemies. Every so often, you can cast a Threatening Shout. That way you can increase the amount of damage that you deal to everything. And every once in a while, you can cast the Ignore the Pain. That way, you don't take as much damage. And there is literally, that is it to Whirlwind Barbarian. It is called Spin to Win for a reason. All you do is keep maintaining your Wrath of the Berserker whenever possible, as well as just going Threatening Shout and Ignore the Pain. And on the higher Greater Rifts, as I'll show you in a little while, then it's when you basically use your Bloodshed. But pretty much all you have to do is keep holding in the Whirlwind button here, and you could pretty much go through the whole entire Greater Rift with relative ease. It's a very, very simple and foolproof type of build. Very, very easy for just about anybody to use it. It is, however, does not have as strong of power as something that I will be talking about later on in the season, that being the Legacy of Raykor set armor, which is now finally dethroned, ironically, Whirlwind Barbarian, for the S-tier Barbarian build status, which was very, very surprising that everybody in the Diablo 3 community agreed with that particular opinion, but I will talk more about that set when we get to it. Now, in terms of optimization, what should you be doing for this armor in particular? Well, on your helm, I would recommend first and foremost crit hit chance 6.0%. On your gloves, I would recommend these 3 stats. crit hit chance 6.0%, crit hit damage 50%, and at least an attack speed of 6.0%, but preferably 8.0% is the way you want to go. Those free stats on your gloves will be the world of difference as to whether you can clear Greater Rift 10 levels higher or not. So please, please, please heed my advice in that retrospect. Then from there, what else do we need for optimization? Well, I would recommend, since we are using Captain Crimson, 8.0% or higher cooldown reduction wherever you can on your pieces of gear. The more cooldown we have, the more damage that we're able to deal. Also, because we're using Captain Crimson, I recommend that you get at least 8.0% resource cost reduction or higher wherever possible on your pieces of gear. The more resource cost reduction we have, the less damage that we take. Then from there, what other things should we be looking for in terms of skill? Obviously, because the Barbarian relies on strength, anywhere you want max strength rolls when possible. On top of that are skills that would be useful to have, and optimization, I mean, is 15% Whirlwind, 15% Rend, because even though we're not actually casting our Rends, when we're using Whirlwind, we are applying Rend, so that Rend 15% damage does work as you're Whirlwinding with Ambo's Pride. So keep that in mind. I know people will come in and be like, well, why is Rend on this build if you're not using it? We are using it, guys. We are. Trust me. I've been doing this a very, very long time. I know what I'm talking about. Alright. We're at the Rift Garden. It's going to be very simple here. We'll go Wrath of the Berserker. We'll spin into him. One Threatening Shout. As you see, he's going to pop on Torment 13 difficulty. As you go higher up, it's going to take a lot longer, and then we'll use Bloodshed. I'll show you that when we get into the Greater Rift 80. Now, again, Whirlwind 15%, Rend 15%, wherever possible. Those are stats that you want to have as well. We don't have to worry about area of effect damage with this particular build because Whirlwind doesn't work that way. So keep that in mind. Further optimization, you want all your pieces of gear Legendary, which is the gold border, or Primal Ancient Legendary, which is the red border. So Ancient Legendaries are more easy to find. Primal Ancient Legendaries, in order to get a Primal Ancient Legendary to drop, you would have to clear a Greater Rift 70 solo if you're playing seasonal. If you're playing non-seasonal character, any non-seasonal character that has already cleared a Greater Rift 70 gives everybody else access to Primal Ancient Legendaries dropping. Keep in mind, Primal Ancient Legendaries have a 2% chance of dropping. That was Greater Rift 60, Torment 13 difficulty, 2 minutes and 58-second clear time. So if that's not super fast for you, I don't know what is. That's very, very fast, and that's not even fully optimized of an armor. All right, we're in Greater Rift 80 here, so this is where things get a little bit more dicey. What we're going to do is Wrath of the Berserker. We're going to obviously go Whirlwind. Then from here, we want to cast Ignore the Pain. And every time that we're near targets, and we want to go Threatening Shout so we can do increased amount of damage. However, as we're whirlwinding around, you hear me yelling quite a bit. I'm not only going to be casting my Threatening Shout. In fact, this is when I start activating my Bloodshed, because my Bloodshed is increasing the amount of critical hits that I do. You have to keep in mind that now is when you're going to be using Bloodshed as you go higher up in the Greater Rifts. Now, in terms of further optimization, like I was saying before, pieces of gear, Primal Ancient Legendary, or Ancient Legendary, then you want to put that in the Kanai's Cube with a Legendary Gem, at least 80 in value or higher, and augment your pieces of gear. Now, fortunately, the Echoing Nightmare is now part of the endgame for Diablo III, so if you get a Petrified Scream, you can put it into the Kanai's Cube and activate the Echoing Nightmare, which gives you easy access to getting very high-level gems that you can use exclusively for augmentation. In fact, usually with a Whirlwind build in particular, you should be able to get your level on Echoing Nightmare of your gem up to between 110 to 130 with relative ease solo. So that's one way of getting very, very high level gems and easy access. I like the fact that Blizzard went the extra mile and kept that endgame in, because it does make the grinding and farming a little bit less difficult, although keep in mind Petrified Screams take a very, very, very long time to drop still. But if you're already grinding through Greater Rifts and everything of the sort, you should have relatively no problem with that. Now keep in mind, as I mentioned before, this is the Season 27 starter set armor for the Barbarian, so keep in mind that if you're playing Barbarian this particular season, and let's say you've never played any of the seasons of Diablo III, basically the way it works is upon completion of your Chapter 2 seasonal journey, you'll get 2 pieces of Hatred Gift, which is 2 pieces of Wrath of the Waste armor. In Chapter 3 completion, you'll get 2 more pieces. Chapter 4, the final 2 pieces. You're always guaranteed a full set of your starter set armor for the season of Diablo 3. Keep in mind, though, you're not guaranteed those pieces to be legendary, or ancient legendary, or primal ancient legendary. So keep in mind that the results on that may vary. Sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll get an Ancient Legendary, but you can't get permanent Ancient Legendaries to drop from Hadrian's Gift. It's not possible because you won't have cleared a Greater Rift 70 solo before you get to that particular seasonal journey. It's just not possible. So keep that in mind, guys. Now, Whirlwind Barbarian is a very strong build. Usually was considered at one point S tier. It's still in the upper tiers, but although some people have put it now in B tier and everything. So, okay, Rift Guardian, we're going to go a Threatening Shout. And then we're going to go Bloodshed, holding the Bloodshed button in while we Whirlwind, and you will pretty much be able to kill most enemies pretty easily. For the Legendary Gems, you want Bane of the Stricken, Bane of the Trap, and a T-Gook gem. So if you have those gems in particular, you should be able to do relatively easy. Keep in mind, the more augmentations in your armor, the more attack that you have. So that also goes very, very far. Now, as for the weapons, my recommendation is honestly just gamble at the Merchant with the blood shards that you get. You should be able to get the Boof Kylflo's weapons relatively easy from that. If not, subsequently, what you can do is you can buy the one-handed swords, put them into the Kanai's Cube, and upgrade them to Legendary. And eventually you will get probably the role of the weapons that way. But keep in mind, you're going to be using a lot of repair units and everything of the sort. A lot of resources to be able to do that. My recommendation, just basically go a whole bunch of Greater Rift grinding. And within a certain amount of time, you should be able to get everything to drop. Like in a 3-hour play session of just Greater Rift grinding, which you're going to have to do anyway for your seasonal journey, you should be able to get everything that you necessarily need and your heart's desire. And you'll also get Petrified Screams that you're going to need for the Echoing Nightmare, which will help level up your gems easier and faster as well. All these things kind of work in tandem together, which is why eventually as you play more Diablo 3, you learn these things. Echoing Nightmare is really good. So keep that in mind. I won't deviate from the gems. I don't recommend that. Don't go past just Bane of Stricken, Bane of Trap, T-Gook. You run those 3 gems, you're not going to have a problem. You run the weapon, you run the skills, the ruins, everything that I've showed you in this guide. You should be set up for greatness. And then at some point, if you want, you keep this for speed farming, and then you play Raikor for pushing higher Greater Rifts. But I'll talk about Raikor in our set. Alright, so that was Greater Rift 80, and we did 2 minutes and 51 second clear time. So if that's tournament 16 plus difficulty, in a group of 4, you will be able to clear Greater Rift 150 easily with a build like this, and if your teammates are playing S-tier armors. If you're playing solo, this armor is going to cap out around Greater Rift 130, 135 with optimization, though in the hands of a good, really, really good player, you might be able to do 150 solo, but it's going to be very, very difficult. Raikor could probably do 150 solo easily. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's Diablo 3 video. As always, a like on this video is greatly appreciated. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, definitely consider doing so, as it helps the channel grow. I'll see you for the next Diablo 3 video. Leave comments, questions, suggestions, concerns in the comment section. I'll get back to you when I can. Anyway, till next time, guys.